Hello my beautiful patrons and welcome to July's Q&A. We've had some really good questions today and I can't wait to get through them all. I've been reading through them roughly and yeah, I'm gonna just jump straight into it. So Chris Zia Jenks, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, said, what do you think about the new changes happening on Etsy? I've been away, came back, and now there's been this change on not being able to search by shop, which I found annoying. I use that function a lot. This is a good question. I am quite frankly a little bit annoyed about the Etsy changes. I'm pretty sure everyone is. I don't think there's one Etsy creator who's not like, oh, like this is amazing news, I can't wait to offer free shipping to my US customers. So those of you who don't know, Etsy have changed the rules where you can no longer search by shop, so that the shop names of something are irrelevant. I'm not sure about that, which first of all is ridiculous. Like, Etsy is meant to be a platform showcasing handmade sellers and small businesses and people like me and you who maybe have an online illustration business, and to not be able to search by shop is ridiculous to me. I think they're trying to become like an Amazon where you are no longer important to them. That's how it feels and how it's come across by Etsy anyway. Like, you are just another number, so they want to mask your name and just come across as if you're buying off Etsy and not off Catnip or off, like, Etsy have gave us this amazing platform and I'm very eternally grateful for them, and they do a lot of marketing pushing the Etsy brand and stuff, but at the end of the day we do the most work in terms of we make the product, we ship the product, we photograph the product, we fulfill the orders. Etsy doesn't do any of that for us. It could be totally different if I created the product and then Etsy manufactured it and sold it and shipped it out and did all that for me, fair enough, get rid of my shop name. Even then it's a bit annoying because I'm the designer. I don't really know like the ins and outs of the actual shop thing, but being able to search by shop, it's just really frustrating, and it just feels like Etsy just is becoming another massive conglomerate like eBay or Amazon, and it's kind of losing what its core values were as a handmade business, which is really, it's kind of just annoying, to be honest. So yeah, to remove the shop name like on the homepage or whatever they're planning on doing it, I don't know the ins and outs of it. It kind of irked me a little bit. I feel like I'm a bit of a mess when I talk about it because I don't know the complete ins and outs of the shop name thing, but my initial thoughts are it's really annoying. The other one is the shipping profile. So if you don't know, Etsy put out a letter to pretty much everyone saying that if you didn't offer free shipping over orders of $35 or more to the US, you would not be ranked as high. So to be ranked as high in the US, and a lot of my customers, I would say more than half of my customers are US based, if I didn't offer free shipping over $35 or more, I would be pushed lower in the Etsy search engine organically. I applied this change because at the end of the day it's business, you have to adapt and overcome. I agreed with it and I said that's fine, I'll offer over $35. I'd rather, it's kind of one of those things, I'd rather not bite my nose off to spite my face type thing, or whatever the saying is, where I'd rather have the sale and the income and lose a bit on the shipping than not have the sale at all because I wasn't being able to be visibly seen in the search results. But it's kind of being forced upon me to do that, so I'm losing money kind of forcibly, if that makes sense. They just kind of seem really like they're not really caring much about the makers anymore. It's no longer, it feels as though they're just trying to milk as much money out of us as possible, if that makes sense. Now Etsy is already quite a fairly cheap online platform anyway to sell your products, but they have slowly increased the commission they get off your sales and stuff. So if you're focusing on marketing like through social media like YouTube, Instagram, and you are building your own following, maybe having your own website would be good because you are getting 100% of those profits and some of it's not going to Etsy. Now I am sticking with Etsy for now, but I do plan on in the future converting over. For me at the moment it's just inconvenient to convert over because I'm just training Mike up on how to do everything. All my listings are already on there. It would be a big task to do an e-commerce store on my own website, and how would I break up the stock and stuff? Like, How would I count the stock and divide it? Would I split it in half? There's a lot of questions to be answered there, and I'm not willing to approach it yet, but I do think it's a sensible thing to do, to have your own platform and direct people to your own platform. A lot of people are jumping ships in, right? I'm leaving Etsy, this is it, I've had enough, and that's fair enough. But if a lot of your traffic is organic through Etsy and it's through Etsy marketing, I would say be sensible and stick with Etsy if you are organically getting a lot of traffic. My traffic now is actually not organically Etsy. The majority of it now is my own marketing. So now for me would be the time, really, ideally, to kind of move over to my own platform. But that's my thoughts on it. I'm just really kind of annoyed at Etsy and kind of deflated about it. I don't really like to get wound up about stuff that I can change and that things that are completely out of my control. I don't try and delve into it too much, but my initial thoughts are, I just kind of felt a bit like, oh, come on Etsy, like, I'm trying to make a business here and support like my brother-in-law, my sister and me, and you're making it harder and harder for us, when initially the core value of Etsy was to support handmade sellers and makers. I kind of feel like they're slowly losing that heart of the business, and they're slowly becoming more like an eBay on Amazon. Try not to read all into stuff like that. I don't know whether that's a good business plan or a bad business plan, but like I say, I like to try and keep positive and see the benefit of it rather than the negative, and I try not to get too absorbed into something that I can't change, like I've already said. So that's my initial thoughts on it. I feel a bit about it all. It's just quite annoying. Don't rely just on Etsy organic traffic is what my advice probably would be to you guys. Really build a brand outside of Etsy, and if you're selling on Etsy and you get a few organic sales and stuff, that's absolutely fantastic. That's great, but make sure that your brand is visible away from Etsy and people know who you are without just being an Etsy store, if that makes sense. Nikki Jackson now said, could you give any advice on how to price book illustrations, please? I've been asked to do an illustration of someone's 3D model character and they want to turn it into a book at a later date. I've quoted a flat rate for the illustration but not sure how to quote for the book. Any advice? Much appreciated, thank you. This is quite a tricky one because you're illustrating someone's character already, so the character is already made by what I've heard here, so you are just illustrating that character. Oh, it's really hard because normally when you get commissions on a book, you would expect royalties because you don't know how that book is going to do in the future, and it would be great to have royalties, so if it blew up you would get the royalties of it. However, my first book, I was inexperienced and I didn't have royalties, and sometimes the book doesn't do well, or it may be a really small publishing house, which was the case for me. I don't actually know how many of the books have sold, but I do know they're sold out in our local area, which was crazy. But I didn't ask for royalties, I just asked for a chunk sum, and I charged £2,000. Now this was 2 years ago and my price would be a lot higher than this now, to be honest with you, for a full page picture book. That took me, it was a year to complete in total, from start of the contract to finish and publishing and got the book out and stuff. The actual illustrations didn't take that, like, a whole year obviously, but you have things like the drafting and the sketching, the proofing, the changing, and you have to get a lot of contracts and things. I'm probably not the greatest to ask about this because I haven't gone into kind of any more children's books. I just got a flat rate and I charged £2,000 for that flat rate for the full illustration picture book, which I think is actually quite cheap because the author or the publisher will potentially make a lot more than that on that book. And I think now how children's books usually work is you charge a commission base, so maybe you'll get 8,000, say you charge £8,000 for a children's picture book, and then you get royalties. You wouldn't get royalties until they've made that £8,000 off you, if that makes sense. Say you got 5% royalties or 20% royalties, you would get the £8,000 up front. Say if it's from a bigger publisher, £8,000 up front, and then those royalties wouldn't start until your £8,000 had been paid for by the royalties. I hope that makes sense. And then anything on top of that, and then you would get the royalties as a monthly income. So you can ask for a flat rate fee up front. You could even ask for nothing and just royalties, but I wouldn't recommend doing that because you don't know how that book's going to sell, how good the publisher is going to work, or self-publisher. If it's self-published, then I probably would just say maybe charge an upfront cost. I'm not the best to ask for this, guys, honestly. I would check out resources like Will Terry. He's a children's book illustrator and he has illustrated tons and tons of children's books, and he has loads of invaluable YouTube videos which I actually watched before I illustrated my first book as well. And there's also SVS Learn. It does cost to go on there, but Jake Parker also is on there, so is Will Terry and other few children's book illustrators, and they go into the nitty-gritty of what to charge. Obviously, if you're a beginner, you're going to charge less than a well-experienced illustrator or someone who's really established as an illustrator. But I personally charged £2,000 for my first book, and yeah, it was a lot of work. So from that experience, I'm still happy that I charged that amount because I gained so much knowledge and experience. I wouldn't charge that amount now. I would charge more than that. The time it takes for me to illustrate a book wouldn't be worth that amount, if that makes sense. Work out your cost per hour, how long it's going to take you, things like that. Take that all into consideration, and definitely look at resources online like Will Terry. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. Oh, it's really hot today. I'm really thirsty. Do a lot of research about children's books and how to price children's books. And you could, even if you're taking it really seriously, look into getting an agent. But if it's just a one-off commission, I don't know, maybe just charge what you feel it's worth for you. I followed my gut. I said £2,000 and I was happy with it. It was a learning curve at the time. Emma Jane Down said, I have a question. So today I signed my documents for the office I'm going to be renting and starting the 5th of August. Ooh, congratulations, that's absolutely amazing. Is there something you wish you had known at the start of your office studio life? What advice would you give for me starting in my office? I need to earn an extra £100 a week to cover the rent and the internet for the office, so I'm very nervous in case I can't do it. Thank you in advance. And Spring also just rented a space too. Oh my gosh, you are going, look at you. So yeah, I've waited 29 years to have a studio. That is absolutely epic. So right, my advice would be to try and set out your working hours. I am not an early bird, so I tend to start work around 10 o'clock. Sometimes I start earlier, sometimes I start later. Today I started at 10:30, but I'll work later in the evening. Work out when's best for you. If you're a morning bird, set yourself work hours and know when you have to be in for at a certain time. I find that really helpful. But you don't have to have, you know, your generic 9 till 5 if you don't want to. I try and stick somewhere in there. I tend to do 10 till 6, kind of around about that time, because I am just rubbish on the morning, if I'm being honest. The extra £100, see, I made the step to get this office, and initially it was only £50 a week for the small room in there, and it was a really ditty tiny room. It's not a serviced office. We don't have a reception or anything like that. It is the roofing company, and they had offices upstairs, and also Danielle and Natalie own downstairs. And I just want to be completely transparent with how much I pay. It depends on the area you're in, and I had to earn an extra £50 a week to make sure I could pay for the office, and it came naturally. It's really weird, because once you're focused and you're in the zone, I found having the office space gave me the mental clarity, and I was able to bring out more products, which then gave me that extra £50 a week. And now we're in 2 office spaces, and it's £80 a week for me for both rooms. I also have to pay now Mike and Emily, so these were next steps. So my total outgoings are around £300 to £400 a week that I have to make in order to break even, and that's with my bills and everything included. I think it's £450 including bills at home as well. So I have to make £450 a week just to sustain these 2 studios, Mike and Emily, and my basic bills met. And at first, when I think about it now, 450 a week seems so unachievable for me, especially last year. Like, honestly, last April is when I got my studio. I've been in the studio more than a year and 3 months now, and I honestly didn't know how it was going to happen, but it did. This is so this is not the best advice. It just naturally happened because I knew I had to make that money, so I worked harder to make that money and make sure it was there. I made sure I earned it. Another word of advice: always have a fund for backup money. I put in 30% of my income, I put away for tax, and it goes straight into my bank account, and I save that money. Sometimes I dip into it if I have big expenses coming out, like maybe something breaks like my heat press and have to dip into it. But definitely make sure you have a savings account with at least 6 months worth of wages, enough to cover your bills and sustain your life in the bank. That is definitely helpful. And don't buy like unnecessary purchases and stuff. I was definitely I wanted my office to look really pretty, so I spent loads of money in IKEA. I think I spent like £300 doing up the studio, painting everywhere, getting some desks and things like that. You don't need to do stuff like that. Just get in your office, and yeah, it's so exciting having an office as well, guys, because it really did change my business and it made me feel like a professional business owner, if that makes sense. So I'm no longer working from home. Like if I was working from home, employing Emily and Mike wouldn't have worked because the space would have been too small, and everything kind of clicked into place. I always knew that I wanted a studio, and I always knew that I wanted employees so that I could step back from the business and do the design work, and they could do kind of the more physical side of the business, like packaging my orders and things like that. And moving into an office space, clearing my head and feeling really professional, it made me feel a lot more kind of serious because I rented an office, and even though it was only really cheap, it still made my mentality really focused on the business and growing it. So I think you've made a great step. But don't worry if you are in your office for like 6, 7, 8 months and you realize it's not for you. I do actually know someone called Liz Harry who used to have her own studio, and she actually sold her studio and moved back home to be with her kids because she had children. I can't imagine me moving completely back home, but if I had enough money to build a big studio space in, say, like a house in the future, then I'm definitely up for that. It's just at this moment, and at the moment that I rented this office, I didn't have that money, like 12 or 20 grand, however much it is to build a studio space at home, and I didn't have the space or resources, so renting the office was the only suitable option for me to get away from my house. I will also say that you might notice a change in your health, your mental health. I definitely struggled at home to switch off from work because my work was always upstairs, and every time I went upstairs and past my bedroom, I was reminded that I had work to do. So say if you have a to-do list and you didn't get things done that day, it is a very hard, or at least it was for me, to not then do it and think, right, I'm just going to get it done, because my to-do list, guys, is endless, and learning to switch off is amazing. And having this office makes me switch off. I can't physically go into my office at 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I could if I wanted to get in my car and drive here, but to cut some stickers, for instance, once I'm at home, I'm at home. I have my laptop and my iPad, and sometimes I do work at home, but more often than not, I just try and switch off. And honestly, it's one of the best things I've done. I absolutely love my office. I love my studio space. We do need to upgrade to a bigger size because it is we're slowly running out of space in here, which is absolutely crazy. But you definitely have to let me know how you get on with the office, and well done. You should give yourself a pat on the back for making that step. Lots of people would love to be in your shoes. Having their own studio space, office space is people's dreams. I personally love working in my office, but I do sometimes do work at home as well, so don't beat yourself up if you're not in the studio on a Tuesday. Just don't fall into a habit, but just figure out how much you need to earn for your studio and for your bills at home. I worked out exactly how much I needed to earn to cover both of those costs. Sometimes on a month I have barely any money left over to save or do what I want with, and some months I easily breeze by, especially during the winter months. So definitely, if you're having a really good sales month, sales week, say it comes up to Christmas and that's a really good sales month, keep some money aside in a pot for savings for the quieter months as well, and then you're not as stressed about earning that £100 a week for your rent, because you know that you've got that backup from there, which kind of eases the anxiety a little bit. But good luck, guys, and well done on taking this step. I am so excited for you. Let me know how you get on, and be honest, sometimes some people just don't like it. which is fair enough for them, but you never know until you try it. This could be one of the best things you have ever done for you and your business. So let me know how you get on. Emma Jane and Spring, how you got on. Let me know on the community page, come and chat to me, and yeah, let me know what your thoughts on being in an office. Very exciting news. So Savannah Francesca has wrote, "Hi Kat, hope you're doing well. I've been thinking about taking the plunge and opening up an Etsy shop dedicated to my art sometime in the future, but it seems like such a scary and risky decision, especially because I don't know if it will work out. When did you know in your heart that it was the right time to work full-time on Catnip?" This is quite tricky for me because I had freelance jobs up until this year. I've only went full time. All my income is generated by myself now, and that happened this February, I think it was. So you guys have been on the journey with me. So if you don't know, when I first ever started Catnip and I was doing YouTube videos back in my room when it was a studio at home, I was working part-time. When I first started Catnip, I was working full-time. When I was making YouTube videos in my room, I was working part-time, and then I went to freelance, so I kept the same client, so it was a window company. So full-time, part-time, then freelance, and still doing the same kind of Facebook social media marketing, doing the website, doing the graphic design. Also went out once a month and took photographs, so I did photography as well. I took photos of like the windows and doors that they installed and stuff. And it was only really this year that I took the plunge, and it was very scary. So I actually had 2 clients last year. I also worked for my uncle, and then I also had another window firm contact me 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, and I worked for them for a little bit, but it was just way too much to juggle because I had him, my uncle, and Martin Windows. So I had 3 window companies that I ended up working for, doing like all the marketing and the graphic design and social media stuff. In terms of being scared, like, there's nothing really to lose. Like, would you rather not do it and regret not trying, or would you rather just do it, and if it fails, it fails, but at least you gave it a great shot and you have no regrets because you tried it? So to minimize the risk, I opened Catnip when I had a full-time job. I'd do commissions of portraits. I didn't sell the stuff that I sell now. Back then I sold just custom portraits, and I did it primarily through Facebook. So I sold a lot of my commissions and stuff through Facebook, and I did that on an evening after I got back from a full-time job, and I did it on a weekend. After that sort of started picking up, it was about 6 months, maybe 7 months. It was picking up very slowly, and then I dropped down to part-time when I realised I could make maybe just over minimum wage at my graphic design job, because it was a small local firm that's literally in the same industrial state that I'm in right now. So he couldn't afford to pay me loads, and I'd just graduated from university, and I worked for Morrison's, a supermarket, and he kind of took me on as kind of like helping me, if that makes sense. And then I also became invaluable to him, which was crazy because I actually did boost a lot of the sales through Facebook, and I made him quite a lot of money, to be honest. So he was quite willing to give me a part-time job and keep me on because he could see the results of my work. So he was happy to drop my time to part-time because I still did the same amount of work. I still made sure that I got all the quotes in, and I kind of did all the marketing like I said I was going to do. I made a list of all the stuff. So then I did Catnip for about a year. Martin Windows it was called, on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I would set up my little office in my second bedroom on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I didn't have much time for my social life, to be honest. It was a lot to juggle at the time, especially towards the back end, because what happened was I worked part-time for Martin Windows as it came to Christmas. I worked part-time for Martin Windows, also did Catnip, also had that window company come and approach me, and I did some freelance work for them, and it all got way too much. It just was not worth the money at all. I was earning an extra £250 a week by doing that, but it was just not worth my mental health. So I dropped down my job with the freelance window company, and I let them know. I said, I'm so sorry, I've took on too much. And at that time Catnip was going through a busy period because it was Christmas, and that was picking up, so it was a lot because I would have to come home from a part-time job. I'd have to package all my Etsy orders and get them out the next day after I was back at my part-time job. I used to go to the post office, post all my work that I'd done on the evening, and I had no time to myself. I had no downtime, no free time during that period. It was also Christmas. I had to worry about Christmas presents. It was a very last minute thing, and I really burnt out, and I've talked about burnout before, and that's when I really burnt out. That was very severe. I ended up going to the doctors about it. I got rigged up on an ECG because my heart rate was always really, really high. It wasn't a very good time. Then I went to freelance, which meant I could work freelance from home on Martin Windows, so I could select my hours when I wanted. And then I did focused on catnip, and that's in the February, and I got the office through there in the April, and then it grew from there. And then I had that for a year, and then this year rolls around, and in February I realized my sales had picked up. I also had you guys supporting me on YouTube, and I thought, right, I'm going to take the plunge. It's very, very scary and very risky. I've now been able to sustain myself since February quite comfortably without the £250 that I was making at Martin Windows a week. I've now managed to comfortably kind of sail by. I'm not rich, I'm not rolling in it, but I am fulfilled because I'm doing something that I love. You might want to make loads and loads of money, that's fair enough, each to their own, but I'm just happy doing what I'm doing, plodding along and kind of growing. But having the fear of not opening it because you don't know if it's going to do well is irrational fear, because I would fear, to me, my fear would be not trying and not experimenting and not trying it out. And to me, I also seen the long-term goal. I didn't expect results overnight. I didn't get an Etsy sale for about 4 months on my Etsy store. Honestly, I had my Etsy store and I had about 5 items on there. I just focused on Facebook. I sold it to friends and family at first, and it kind of reached out like that, and then someone said, oh, that's a nice picture you've got, and then it kind of went from there, and I slowly grew it up from there. Just sit down and ask yourself, is this something I really want? Is this a dream that I've really, really wanted, or do I just kind of fancy trying it out? What do you have to lose if you try it out? If you've got a job now, keep that job and work on your Etsy hustle part-time, and look at the long term, not the short term. It may take a long period of time. I'm just finally, after 3.5 years of business, seeing kind of results and being able to go out on my own. So definitely sit down with yourself and think, right, what are the pros of starting an Etsy business? What could potentially happen? Where do I want it to go? What are the cons of starting an Etsy business? And then sit down and write, if I don't start an Etsy business, how are you going to feel about that? And just kind of weigh out what you really truly want. There's nothing worse than regret, and I think you will only, if you really truly want to open an Etsy business, you'll regret not at least giving it a go and giving it a try and seeing how it turns out. Don't give up after 2, 3, 4 months. If you feel like your skill set isn't there yet, keep refining your skills and learning and practicing, and just keep going for it, because you will learn as you go along with it. So I hope this helps. I kind of feel like I was all over there, but I'm not the best at articulating things in these Q&As. So Spring, hello Spring, has said, hi Catherine, thanks for answering our questions. My question is an extension of Nikki Jackson's. I'm curious how you price for your shop and if you use a formula. Have you ever raised your prices? What would make you do so? So I'm gonna first answer the first one. I'm curious how you price for your shop. I do research on other shops. I look on Etsy, I see what sells, I look at my skill set and see what I need to sell to make a profit and to sustain this office and things, and I price it based on that. So I look at other competitors, you look at your competitors' prices, I look at other Etsy sellers and stuff, see what they're kind of pricing it out, especially when I first started out, and or if I'm launching a new product like my washi tapes for example. I had to search different types of Etsy sellers. You'll get a mad range of spectrums, but try and find some shops that are similar to you. What kind of guide price are they selling them at? Are they successful? Obviously look at successful shops that are in your kind of niche and what they are, what price point they're selling their products at. If you make a new product that no one else has got, then just experiment with the price. Go in and you can always change it. I have price changed. I will be doing a price increase at the beginning of next year, because everything increases, like bread, milk, everything increases, and you have to do kind of a yearly, quite slight price increase. I haven't done a big price increase for about 2 years. It's well overdue, so I will be doing a slight price increase very soon. But yeah, definitely look at other products in your field from other successful companies. I also look at companies like Paperchase or Deer, all those stationery companies, get a feel at how much they sell it for, and then how I feel my product is worth and the value on it, and how much I actually need to sell it for to make a profit. I know in the past you said you were always trying to make catnip more professional and maybe have your products sold in shops. Is that something that's already established in the pricing structure, or would you have to change things? Yes, it's already established. So I've always wanted to sell in shops. It's been one of my goals to kind of get my products out there. At the moment, I'm now thinking it's not that necessary anymore. I think it was more of an ego thing, like kind of seeing catnip in a shop is really cool. At least it was for me anyway. But I always price my products based on wholesale and then retail. Say my enamel pins are priced at £7.49. I could sell them for £4, maybe £3.50 wholesale, and still make a little bit of a profit on those enamel pins. And I made sure to keep that in mind and definitely do some research on Etsy pricing and just pricing products in general, and figure out wholesale, retail price, learn the difference of the two, because it's very important. I have already factored into consideration what my wholesale prices would be for things like washi tapes, enamel pins and things like that, and then my retail price, which is the price you see online. And I think everyone should go out with this strategy, because if you then plan on doing wholesale, maybe you get an order and they say they want to order 300 enamel pins, and you have a wholesale price ready set in place, then you're good to go. There is some fantastic resources online. Just Google wholesale/retail price on Google. I read loads and loads of different articles from all over. I can't pinpoint one exactly, and just did my research based on that as well. And also looking in your area, like I say, researching your competitors. Usually, especially bigger companies, they factor in theirs as well. And also making sure your products that you're making don't cost too much to manufacture, and you're getting those competitive prices in to kind of fit in with the general consensus. Say it's greetings cards, for example, make sure you're not manufacturing greeting cards that cost maybe £2.50 to produce, because you are not going to be making any profit. Make sure they're only maybe £1 to produce, maybe £2, maybe £1.50 for wholesale, maybe £2.50 for retail, or £1.75 for wholesale. So you're making 75p profit for wholesale per card. You're making £1.50 or £2. My maths isn't great, but hopefully that helps. Diana, we have been recording for like over an hour. This is going to be really hard to edit. So Diana has wrote, "Hi Catherine, I know this is probably a silly question, but how do you round the corners on your sticker sheet? I spent ages rounding off the backing sheet in Procreate before putting it into the Cricut design. But of course, silly me forgot it will only do one kind of cut, and I still ended up cutting them out by hand. I just wondered if you found a quicker way." And Oriana has replied a fantastic reply to Diana and kind of helped out here. She wrote, "Hey, I know you asked her, but I'll answer you because I have the same problem. She does it in Photoshop for her sticker sheets and then prints them to cut the corners. She did a video on how to make a sticker sheet and she explained it, and holy moly, it really worked. She also has a round edge cutter she favourites. I know I saw it on Amazon. The one I bought, I got at Hobby Lobby. Because I wasn't sure what style I liked more, it might be on Amazon. I got other stuff that's based in their brand. Also, dude, you're badass, because I can't guess how you got Procreate to do round edges. I'm total novice at it. So you getting to do it is super cool. I didn't even know that was possible. So that's amazing that you guys are helping each other out. But I have to update my video because I have figured out a way of cutting on the Cricut which cuts the round corners for me and takes out that step, guys. So thank you so much for helping out. My sticker packs now get cut with these slight round corners, as you can see. I don't know if you can see, and they actually get cut like this on Cricut. What I do is follow the tutorial that you've seen on my YouTube video, but you know this backing layer here, so just when I said it's a white sheet and you've done the corners, say on say you've done it on Procreate or you've done it on Photoshop, you've created a rectangle with corners on it. There is a tool on Photoshop that allows you to do this, like a shape. Say you've got this here and you've put it and you've followed the instructions and you put this on your backing layer, duplicate this by 4 or 5. So and put it in the exact same position on Cricut. So what will happen is your Cricut will then cut around this 4 times. It takes a longer time on the Cricut, but it's worth it because then I don't have to go out, use my paper cutter, individually hand cut them and then clip them in the corners, which is what I used to do. The Cricut now cuts the full thing out for me, and I just duplicate this backing layer on the Cricut by 4 or 5 and it does it for me. And then make sure you click attach to the whole sheet and then get back to me. I definitely need to do an updated video on this. This was recommended to me on that video and I tried it out, and oh my gosh, it's changed my life because I can now just let it cut and it cuts out the whole sticker sheet. Why Cricut hasn't updated the system where we can set 2 cut depths, like a deeper depth for the outside and then a kiss cut depth for the inside, I don't know, because I know Silhouette and the Cameo and stuff has that software. But yeah, that's how I figured it out, so I really hope that helps. Fingers crossed you can get it done, and I will do an updated video very, very soon. Oops, I just had to change the camera battery. My camera is red hot because I've been filming for so long. I hope I can cut this video down okay. So on to Devon, and she has said, I have 3 questions, I hope that's okay. I keep missing the cut-off times from the previous videos. It's perfectly fine, Devon, don't worry. 1, would you ever hire Dean at Catnip? Would he ever want to work at Catnip? My dream is to run my own full-time... Sorry, I'm laughing just because I can imagine Dean working here and it's so funny. My dream is to run my own shop full-time like you. Currently, my boyfriend loves to help me mail my orders, etc. I think we make a great team, but I understand how it might be too overwhelming to work so much with your significant other. Sorry, I'm smiling because I'll tell you in a second. While living with them at the same time, just wanted to know your thoughts. So I asked Dean this question and I said, Dean, if Catnip grew to the point where it was more than your income and we needed to divide it out, which can be great for tax purposes, would you work for me? And he flat out said no. So I don't even really have the opportunity to work with Dean. I thought it was great because his grandma and granddad worked in business for 30 years or something together, and they were very, very successful, so I think it depends on the couple you are. There's also Emma and Tom at Fox and Cactus, which are a husband and wife team, or boyfriend and girlfriend team, and they've been very, very successful on Etsy. He does the kind of cutting, she does the designs. Ooh, I just smacked my water bottle, and it works very, very well, so it depends on the couple. If he's already helping out and he loves to help you out, by all means go for it. I would love to have Dean in the business with me, but he has not got one creative bone in his body. He can't even wrap Christmas presents. Honestly, I wish I had a photo to show you this Christmas present that he wrapped me before. He literally put sellotape, you know, like the memes, he literally put sellotape around it. Can you imagine trying to get him a package in the Etsy orders or doing anything like that? Honestly, it would be a nightmare. I would personally love to be able to employ him if he was creative. That would be amazing. If your boyfriend is creative, I would definitely have Dean on my team because he makes me laugh and smile so much when he comes in the office. But honestly, I think he would be pretty useless. Sorry, Dean. If it's for you and your boyfriend enjoys it, just make sure that you're going to spend a long time with all the rest of your life with your boyfriend or your potential partner or husband, because potentially this business, you want it to last the rest of your life as well. But I definitely think a husband and wife team, boyfriend girlfriend team can build very, very successful businesses if they both have that dream. 2, I've never been to Disney Park, but I've always wanted to. But living in Canada, I've always felt like it's impossible financially. Seeing that you've done multiple trips to the UK has given me hope. Any trips on doing Disney on a budget? So I did Disney on a budget in my previous trip. I flew over and stayed out of Disney, but I will say if you're going to save up that amount of money to go to Disney in the first place, it is nice to stay in Disney because it is a different experience staying in a Disney resort. However, sometimes I am a bit annoyed at Disney about how expensive it is. Like, some things are just ridiculous. Like, it's like nearly $6 for a Mickey ice cream sandwich, which is like absolutely insane to me. Now, I don't know how the Canadian dollar holds up against the American dollar, but in the UK the British pound is stronger than the US dollar. Is stronger the right word? I don't know, but I get more dollars for a pound, if that makes sense. So some things work out a little bit cheaper, like hotels and stuff for us works out a bit cheaper. My holiday, the last one I've just been on, cost £1,600 for me and Dean for 2 weeks. That's including the flights and the hotel. That was not including the Disney parks. It's a very, very, very expensive holiday. And what I do is I have a fund on my app. I have like a bank account dedicated to holidays and like a happy fund that I save money into every year, and I've been very fortunate this year to go on 2 Disney trips. I don't think I will go on 2 Disney trips again because I kind of feel like it's a bit unnecessary and a bit greedy of me to go on the trip twice, to be honest. But for budgeting and stuff, I just don't spend a lot, and people might be surprised by this because I've done hauls on my channel and stuff before, but I'm really trying to rein that sort of stuff in. I'm kind of more of a minimalist now, I would say. I'm not a minimalist, but I'm trying to have more minimalist tendencies. I don't buy a lot. Like, if you guys notice, I'm normally in the same clothes, same earrings, same headbands over and over and over and over and over again, and I will only buy new clothes if I really need to, if I've ran out, if mine have worn to death and they really need to be replaced. Like, I'd rather spend that £20–30 on that pair of trousers towards a holiday and like a day away than on a new pair of jeans. Definitely become aware of what you're spending and find out what's important for you. Some people love to buy clothes and love fashion, love makeup and buy new makeup and clothes every single week. I do not do that. Like, honestly, I have the same makeup until my pans, like, say I've got this powder at the minute and the pan is full metal and it's just the white around the outside, and I'll use it till the death until I have to purchase another one. So I'm definitely more frugal when it comes to living at home and stuff. And also, if you're going to be traveling, we do it in 2 weeks at a time because it actually works out the same price as going over for a week. So, or it's like a couple of £100 difference. So we would rather go out for 2 weeks and kind of, yeah, make the most of it. Flights from the UK to the US are around £600, I think. So if you wanted to do it on a budget and you wanted to go to the Disney parks, stay outside of the Disney resort. But if you're going to be spending money, and maybe keep an eye out on the Disney dining plan if they're offering free Disney dining. So we are going back again in November and we've got the free Disney dining plan offer, which works out, it's more expensive up front, so it worked out £2,000 per person on the holiday, but our food is included. So even if I didn't save any money, I've got counter service meals included, which is all like the fast food, and some snack credits as well. Definitely do research on Disney dining plan if you want to understand that more. But that meant, like, yeah, I paid £2,000, £2,200, but that was including food. So very, very good value for me because I ended up spending a lot of food. Me and Dean, I don't know if you can tell because we're marshmallows, a big foodie, and we spend a lot of food when we go over because we want to try new things because we're in America and it's like, oh my god, the food's really, really good over there. Definitely look into your options of saving outside. I don't know what the travel services are like in Canada, and I don't know what the airplane costs are like, so yeah, fingers crossed. And I don't know what the Canadian dollar against the US dollar is like either, so yeah, fingers crossed you'll be able to budget for that. Definitely look at what you're spending at home, put some money aside for saving for holidays. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, but I hope this helps kind of. But yeah, just don't really buy much to be honest. But I'm still learning to curb that habit, to be honest. Number 3, what are your thoughts on Etsy prioritising shops that offer free shipping? So I've said this earlier before, I was kind of annoyed about it because it kind of felt like we were forced into it, but I'm trying to get over it now and trying not to worry too much about, like, kind of something that I can't avoid, and I've offered free shipping. I'd rather have a sale than no sale at all because I'm not visibly seen. I don't know all the details yet, but it's been stirring up a buzz lately. I currently only offer free shipping in Canada where I reside. However, postage costs to ship outside of Canada are really expensive here. I feel if we were to include the shipping costs for the US and everywhere else in my price, it would turn people off, especially people from Canada who might feel ripped off. Yeah, it's one of those things, it's just Etsy just hasn't thought about international sellers at all, and it's just really annoying. Postal costs here aren't too bad because I'm shipping light products, but if I was still selling my mugs, to be honest, don't think I'd be able to do that. Like, it's weird how it's come at a perfect time. I discontinued my mugs because of how long they used to take, how much they used to cost for shipping and stuff, and now Etsy have rolled out this thing. I would not be able to sell my mugs anywhere with that free shipping thing. Or was it £11 per mug to post off? So if I had heavy items like that, which cost me a lot of money, then yeah, it would not be worth it for me. But if they're spending $35 on an order and maybe the postage is £3.50, 15 I think it is for a large letter to the US, or a small letter to the US, sometimes £5, I would rather have that sale and make that £30 and lose the £5, if that makes sense, than not have that sale at all. I'm still making a profit overall, and I think increasing your prices ever so slightly across the board can kind of help balance that out, but it's still really freaking annoying. Ariana, this is the last question now, and Ariana has said, what do you think about the Etsy changes in the US? Have you seen a difference in the business because you're overseas? So I've already discussed the Etsy stuff in the early part of the video, so I hope that helped. Have you seen a difference in business because you're overseas? No, I haven't, but I can't say, because I can't say how well my business would do in America. Like, imagine if I relocated to America, maybe my Etsy business would be even bigger than it is now. Who knows? I can't say for sure if it's made a difference, but I haven't seen really a hit yet. It has been a very quiet week this week, but I'm putting that down to the hot summer weather. Fingers crossed it is that, but the week before was an average week, and the week before that was an average week, so for now I haven't really seen any difference. So yeah, I hope this helped, guys. Wow, this video is going to take a very long time to edit. Oh my gosh, I have been filming for ages. But I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for being here, guys. It honestly means the world. You guys, I know we've been talking about costs and things of living. You guys help me pay for my bills and help me be able to sustain Emily and Mike and create new products, putting money into the business, because without your income, the Patreon income, I wouldn't be able to do as much as what I'm doing now, like employing Mike and Emily and everything. So thank you so much. It honestly means so much to me. I hope you get value from being here, and I hope you've been enjoying the Patreon content and you enjoyed this Q&A, and I will see you very soon. I am really thirsty and I nearly drank this whole bottle just in this Q&A. Can you believe it? So I will see you all very soon, my beautiful marshmallow senpais. I love you. All right then, I love you. Goodbye.